Hey, everybody. Welcome to another episode of The Road to 150. I am, as you know, Davis Peng, writer for Fantasy Six Pack and Stochastic, question mark these days. And with me is the owner of the channel, the host with the most, the one that doesn't censor me when I like to yell stupid things, the beaniest, but not the meaniest, Hope Bishop. How you doing? Hope you're muted.
I'm good, Davis. That was a good one. I did not see that intro coming.
I
I love
was
it.
thinking about it. It's all you.
I love it. Yeah, I mean, I was wondering. I got the idea of like, are you wearing a hat or a beanie tonight? And I'm like, probably a beanie. But no, I'm doing good. I'm doing good. Yeah, no, it's exciting. Getting the players out on the field and OTAs. We're getting close. Like we're closer than you think. Like 99 days, right, till the first kickoff. It's kind of
Yeah.
daunting, right?
It feels like we've had so much action, but we haven't had any action.
Well, I mean,
It's
it's
June 1st, and I feel like I've already went through best ball summer.
we've done
I got
250 drafts already.
I know.
And I'm probably gonna do another 300. I mean, like that's another thing too that's so daunting about it. And I was kind of sitting there when I saw it's like 99 days till kickoff, right? It's like I'm gonna max puppy 2 and I might max puppy 3 and probably gonna max BBM and then the DK Millie. And it's just like, gosh, how am I gonna find the time to do all this? Should I do all
slow
this and
draft.
all this different stuff? So slow drafts.
Uh
I don't know.
I'm still have 60 puppy 1 slow drafts I need to finish. And then I looked at puppy 2 and I was like, you know what would be funny is if I completed puppy 2 before I finished puppy 1.
I would
like I actually considered trying to do that. I was like, I could get like 10 drafts per day and maybe finish this before puppy 1's over. It wouldn't mean anything, but it
It'd
would
be
be
funny.
funny.
It'd
It
be
would
so
just be
yeah, it
funny.
would
Like,
just be funny. I'm with you there. I'm excited. So let's hit on a couple of seconds here on Puppy 2. It dropped today. A little bit of regular season payoff. Top 100 only, so like it's not a huge factor into the way I'm going to play that tournament. But what were your thoughts on it? Are you ready to fire on Puppy 2? I know it's what we're going to do tonight here shortly. But what did you think about Puppy 2 coming out?
oh man. First off, shout out to you guys, got Andrew, Chris, everybody that's already in here. Like, you guys are great. I love seeing your guys' faces in here. So thanks for saying
Yeah,
hi.
appreciate you guys hanging out.
And just being cool on Twitter too, obviously. But for the tournament itself, which it kind of blew my mind that it's I think already 5% filled. Like, you're talking about 225,000 people, and this tournament's going to be, and 5% filled. I'm like, all right, cool. That sounds about right, given what the intake is. I am not too excited about Puppy 2 for certain reasons. One, I'm
Hmm.
bitter. I was a third place finisher last year, and if they would have had this last year, I would have been stoked. That was the third highest score, and I'm bitter as hell. Um, Fine, whatever.
You talking about
But
regular season score?
regular season, I was the third highest regular season score, and I don't get my 8 grand this year. I'm not gonna be able to do that twice. Honestly don't believe so. I Overall, I think it's cool. They put 150K on top of this. So if you're a puppy 1 top guy finisher, top person finisher, you're getting $150,000. That is better than some of the BBM money.
Right.
I think I DM'd you immediately. I was like, why does third place get the same amount of money in a puppy 2 that eighth place at BBM is gonna get? Like, that just feels a little weird to me. I'm like,
I
oh, that
agree.
feels
I've sat there at some points thinking like, because obviously like BVM is it's the flagship tournament, right? We're road to 150. We want to 150 max this, but the structure of it is not our favorite, and so that has been some things I've tried to consider a little bit. But I like this from Tarek here real quick about so you don't have to burn BBM entries.
oh
I kind
yeah.
of like this because it gives you something to slow down a little bit. We're about to
It's a
get
good
so much news the next 2 weeks. Where does D Hop go? Is anyone else get cut or released or traded around June 1? So a lot's
it's
going to
also
happen
good
here.
practice
Yeah.
drafting. It's a good way to practice your drafts. You do 50 puppies, you're getting ready to see what the board for big board is. Sorry, what the board for BBM is. If you're someone that was like, hey, I'm gonna start doing my BBMs now, but I
Right.
don't know how ADP is. I don't know the flow of the drafts because drafts are different. You can see ADP, but the news of that week might have Dalvin Cook 10 picks down until his actual ADP updates, things like that. So I like puppies for practice. It's tons of great practice, and obviously just for prizes too. I think I was in the finals in a no, I missed finals of puppy 2, but I made puppy 1 and puppy 3. But it's good. It's a good way to get practice in.
Absolutely. And I'm excited. I skipped Puppy 1 And so today,
Boo.
I skipped puppy 1, but I was messaging you. I was like, it feels so good to be just ripping puppy drafts again. I think I've already done 6. I think I've done today.
I
Um,
was at work. I did one.
throughout I was at work. We don't talk about. Uh-huh.
So true. Okay, okay, I take that back.
But no,
Um,
yeah, it was fun. It's fun to like feel a little less stressed. The rooms are crazy. I'm looking up left and right, and I'm getting someone 20 picks of ADP value if I like them. It's got to be a player I like that fits the build. But yeah, love
uh,
getting yeah. Paul saying it like I mean I'm getting so many players 20 25 picks past ADP, and I'm like this has
I
not felt like this in BBM
I feel
lately.
like we're getting a lot more casuals. I saw a lot of less badge people in my matches. Not to say that badge non-badgers can't be like pro level guys or whatever, pro level gals, but you're seeing it differently. And also, without that 30% of the funds going to that regular season, Jameson William would probably be higher in here, right? Like I
Mhm.
would draft Jameson William at 100 almost immediately. So there's certain guys I'm not fading anymore because I'm not worried about it. Now I'm still fading Kyler across the board, but like Jameson William's the
Yeah,
first guy that came to my mind. I'm like, I don't care about finishing top 100 out of 225,000 people.
yeah,
I doubt I become
absolutely.
close. Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's been fun. I've enjoyed the puppies so far. Getting some really unique teams. I mean, I got Devontae Adams at 20 today. You just don't see that. You don't see that BBM. Like I told you, I drafted a team I didn't love because it had Devontae Adams, had Debo, had Pittman. But I got Devontae Adams at 20, Debo at
Well,
50. Like,
you'll
I
never
mean,
see it because you're always drafting from the one spot. Us people who are drafting from the butt spot of like spots 7 through 12, I've gotten a few Devontae Adams at like 17 to 20. Okay,
that's
so
fair. I it was my first one, and so I wasn't used to it. But no, I haven't had a 101 in a while. Hopefully we get that tonight. The Jimmy G fun is strong. It's really not. No, I love Devontae Adams. I am not fading Devontae Adams. I'm probably not gonna be like, in that group of receivers at the end of the first. I'm kind of all about even on them.
yeah.
But I'm not fading Devontae.
I'm not fading Devontae. He's a round 2 guy for sure. I think he is just that step above like Amon Ra, step above like Garrett Wilson, etc. for now. I actually hope Jimmy G doesn't play. Like I want like Ryan Fitzpatrick to come out of retirement and just do it because that'd be like best Devontae Adams season of all time. Um, anyways, that's just my take for that.
Yeah, Devontae can
Uh,
cook with anyone. But yeah, let's get into the first little thing we're going to touch on, and then we'll hop in the
yeah.
draft very
So
shortly.
obviously, like I said before, guys, this is June 1st, like the official June 1st of our show too and everything. And one of the things that I just want to do is just give a little bit of credit back to well, the Twitter community, the fantasy basketball community, just news that we see. What is a player take that you have shifted from that you did in big board or even early BBMs that you're like, what changed? Who changed your mind? What changed your mind? What was that nail in the coffin to convince you to change? Like, oh, you know what? Maybe I'll stop taking this guy, or maybe I will take this guy.
Yeah, so one for me, it's not someone I was full fading by any stretch, but Brees Hall. I was a little cautious with the knee, just a little bit. Because there's so many good running backs that go in his range, right? Ramondre, I have no questions about. Derrick Henry, Tony Pollard, Chubb was there, and now he's pushed up. But these Josh Jacobs, so like there was this group of running backs, and it was so easy for me just to click the other guys, right? Because Brees, the ACL stuff, is he going to be ready? Is he not? But the stuff coming out of OTAs with the Jets, with Salah himself saying he's clocking 22 miles an hour running, he's out there, he's cutting, and it really feels like he's going to be ready for week 1. And even if he's not, he is not going to miss much time. And Brees has that skill set that some of those other guys don't have at that range. I mean, they're all pretty good pass catchers, but Henry would be the one where like now I'm like, man, if Brees is good to go, I'm super excited about him, and so I'm firing Brees more now than I would say I was, big board especially, but early BBM, I had more Jacobs, more Pollard, Ramondre, but I'm mixing in a lot more Brees right now.
No, that's a good one. I'm still gonna wait a little bit. 22 miles is really good. I'm just curious about the cutting. The cutting's always more of an
He's
important thing
doing
to me.
it though. I mean,
Yeah.
that was part of that report, and obviously it's reports. Every report. That's what I think we should say. Every report that comes out of camp, almost every report. A couple years ago, Jamar Chase couldn't catch apparently, but most reports we get out of camp are positive. So we do need to be cautious there. But I'm excited for Brees Hall right now, and so I think I've taken him in 2 of my last 3 BBMs. So he's someone I'm feeling a lot better about now.
So mine's gonna be a, kind of like a little mini two-parter, but mostly it's the running backs at that 60 zone. And Tarek's Comics is actually a good
Yep.
example of this. So like Joe Mixon was somebody like I took zero of in big board, and even in the early BBMs when I saw this guy at 70, 80, and even your message, we were like, "Are you taking him?" I was like, "I know I should, but I'm not." And I feel like that's just even dumber. Like one thing to be like, I'm just not in on it, but to know that you should and you're not.
Yeah.
And like shout out to UD, like their network was just like really pounding this, and they just had another one when they were like, I don't know why you're not taking him. Like he's not done enough that if he gets cut, he doesn't get a job. He's not done enough that if he did keep his job, that he would be at pick 60 still. He's gonna be a pick 40 guy. He's gonna fall straight to Najee's level, and
Yeah.
you're gonna be paying 2 rounds up for him. And then another one is just shout out to the Badge Bros. Like they kind of got me, especially like Numi and and Nez, and then they're just kind of shoving like, "Hey Davis, go take some Ravens wide receivers like now." Like stop dolling us. Like I know you're not a big fan of these guys, but like grab Bateman, grab Zay, they're gonna move up. So luckily for like myself for listening for once, I actually did get some Bateman at 110. I'm grabbing a little bit of Zay to mix up with my Michael Thomases, right? Like, and it's not the greatest, but I have been doing it because I do need to grab some Ravens receivers. I don't think they'll have a strong finish through the season, but they'll have like very strong spike weeks, I believe. I feel like you can get a game where 1 in 3 is that hot guy that day. And I think there is good value for picks at pick 95, pick 100 for,
I mean, you don't
even
gotta
though
convince me. You know, I'm sitting
yeah.
on 30% Bateman right now. So I'm super in on Bateman, and I have been on the Ravens passing game and their offense in general this offseason. So that's a good one. I like that a lot. Yeah, I think Mixon was a pretty okay fade, like you said, back in April. I mean, it really did seem like there was a chance he was facing a suspension. There was a lot swirling around, so I kind of get the big board fade. But yeah, right now and especially
But
this last month, we should have been mixing
yeah,
in a little more Mixon,
we
and
should have
we
been in
have.
like 30 days early. Was my point. It's like after the draft, we should have kind of figured out what the writing on the wall was, and that it's a fifth
They
round
didn't
guy.
add anyone, right? They did
Exactly.
not. I mean, Chase Brown, fifth round guy. They didn't bring anyone in free agency, so yeah, that's a good one there.
All right, let's get to puppy twos. I'm trying to get a top 100 team. You ready to?
All right, you ready to hop in?
Yeah, I'm ready to hop in.
All right,
I think I can
3.
take you.
All right,
Go.
you go. Waiting for 10. Are you in this one, or did you get in the first other one?
Oh, I got in the first one. Oh
No, I'm
no,
leaving. I'm leaving.
it's too late. I'm already in. Oh god. Okay.
All
I'll
right,
do
let's do it
another one.
again. Let's do it again.
I'll be in 2 drafts. Go.
4 more.
4 more.
Okay, we're in the same one. All right.
I'm in 2 drafts right now.
All right, you want
Have
the
to.
multi-table. You'll have to let us know how your other one's going. Multi-table that thing up, and we might show it at the end.
Oh god.
We probably should have done that before we popped the screen.
People usually have like a scouter, but I don't want someone to scout and get sucked into it. Like I'm not a
Oh,
fan
look
of
at you
doing it.
all the way back there at the 111. Now I'm at the
Oh.
1-3.
Am I in 112? I think I'm in the 112 in this one. Oh, I'm 111. Okay, that's cool. Yeah, that's fine. Whatever, man.
Paul got in this one. Andrew got in this one. If you're in here, let us know for sure. We'll keep an eye
Oh
on
god.
everyone's teams.
Did I get 111 in both? I got 17, 111.
Oh, okay.
It's not the worst to miss, but that's still pretty bad. Um, I saw something I was listening to today on the way home. Shout out to the legendary upside. I was listening to like getting weird in the first early picks with Travis Kelsey. I don't know if I have the cojones to do this, but would you take Travis Kelsey knowing you can get Higgins and Patrick Mahomes on the 2-3 turn?
It's an interesting idea that I have not thought of. It's a fun start. I can't lie. It's a fun start.
Right?
I don't know if I would. Geez, that's a tough question. I might do it in a puppy more so than a BBM. Probably get weird, try some different builds. Maybe I should try in a BBM. I don't know. It's honestly something I haven't thought about. So what have you thought on it?
I thought it was smart because you talk about building the rest of that draft out. You can get 1, 2, 3. You get Mahomes, and then on your 4th round, you could probably get a receiver. and then pick up Mixon on the 5th. The other thing they were talking about was just skipping Mahomes, but just make sure you got Kelsey Higgins, a receiver there, Burrow in the 4th, 5th turn because he can sometimes fall to like 49. Um, and trying to figure that out there. And I thought that was like really fun. It was him and John Daigle they were talking. I was just like, man, I gotta get creative at this. And I don't think it's optimal because I don't know if it plays well for season long. But it's that kind of like, but like I don't know how much I can't calculate that loss. I couldn't look at it and go, wow, I'm losing. I look at it and go, I'm probably behind,
Yeah.
but I can finish top two, right? Like you can make a team out of that and finish top two, and that's all that really matters. You don't have to be number one in your bracket or your pod.
It's a really good point from Paul. These confined contests compared to BBM. Because we're right. What we don't know how ADPs will shift. Like, what if Hopkins signs with the Chiefs and Kelsey, like, he's not going to fall the first. Like, this is a good question. Where do you think Kelsey's going to fall if Hopkins signs with the Chiefs? Like, does he stay 7, 8, 9? Does he go 1, 2 turn?
I think he goes 1-2 turn.
Yeah, that's what
I
I'm
think he
thinking.
goes 1-2 turn or 10 to 14, because that spot's really really weird right now. 10 to 14 is
Yeah.
like the most awkward spot to be in.
I could see AJ Brown, CD, kind of, and Bijan pushing up in front of him with a Hopkins pick. So I like this. What's up, Steph? How are you tonight? Oh, Brent's geese in the 1 hole. We got a
really good
few
geese
people in
though.
here. Tarek's in the 8.
All right, my 2 drafts.
Did you see Paul got in 3 drafts?
Sheesh, Paul.
Paul's just multi-tabling all of it.
All right.
All right, so you started CD Saquon here. I like that start. Little division
It's
stack.
safe. I'm not. I was hoping for my Amon Rock to come back or a Devonta Adams keep slipping. I'm not the biggest in on those guys, but I don't really like getting a running back this early. But actually, I figured out ways around it these days. I think dual elite's really strong right now. I think like if you mix it, I think double RB is painful, but like wide receiver, RB, and then RB wide receiver, and vice versa is really strong.
What'd you do in your other draft? Are you still drafting it? Are you on
I am.
auto?
I'm in it. I'm in it. I have to try to win, right? Double
Yeah.
RB, which like I'm already kind of like regretting my life. Saquon and Bijan. I've passed it on Waddle. I think we talked about this a little bit. It's kind of hard to like Waddle these days, how high he is. He has to be an efficiency wide receiver, which is like really cool. And as a Dolphins fan, like I love it, but that's a lot to bank on.
Well,
like
earlier I did that same start you did with the Bijan Saquon, and I actually really like that team that I sent you, and so I think you can recover. It depends on the room,
Yeah.
because I was able to get like Cooper and Hopkins on that team, and so like that felt pretty strong for starting dual RB.
Man. Yeah, I think that's really dependent. Like I said, I do love Waddle, but I think I picked like right on your round 2 turn. That is like just really expensive because I can't guarantee that Waddle doesn't do the same numbers as a wide receiver in Jerry Judy, or
Yeah.
the same numbers as like Higgins, Olave, D Hop on another team. Like there's a lot of guys that he could just be, and I'm like, man, that's expensive. And why am I paying around 2 for? Like I don't think I think he's really good. I just don't think he's good enough in half PPR for that because he is a borderline PPR guy too.
Yes, for sure.
Kevin, that's funny.
Going Ramondre. I know I talked about Brees Hall, but Ramondre's my guy.
Look at Kevin's comment. It's actually I feel the same way. I drafted Bijan Olave carrying on stream tonight and died a little bit inside.
I love
That's
it.
tough. I mean, because the problem, like I said, with Olave, it's like, Hayden would tweet goes sent out like this guy was like points per game, like wide receiver 25, and he's being drafted as like wide receiver like 14. And even I even said it. I love Derek Carr, but I don't know if Derek Carr's gonna take Olave to Adams level. I don't think Derek Carr is that kind of guy. I think you have to just be that good of a receiver to beat Adams.
Sure. No, he's not Adams. He's definitely not Adams, but I do think he's really good and can be a number one.
Everybody said that Michael Pittman was Julio Jones last year. Okay, like they said, Matt Ryan
You
passing
sure
ball equals Julio
everyone
Jones.
was saying that.
Matt Ryan to Calvin Ridley equals Julio Jones. Matt Ryan to Cal Pitts equals Julio Jones. I've heard like 4 Julio Jones comparisons. I can get 5 at least this year on some form of everybody's Devontae Adams.
Nope, nothing.
Garrett Wilson, Aaron Rodgers.
Julio.
Garrett Wilson, Aaron Rodgers is automatically Devontae Adams.
No.
I'm extremely bitter about that still. I'll tell you that right now.
I can tell. We can tell.
I was like, how do you guys compare to anyone to Julio Jones? That dude was like one of the best prototypical wide receivers to exist.
Shout out Foley High School.
Oh, is that
Foley
where
High
he's from?
School. Yeah. Julio and DJ Fluker, who's been trying out for NFL teams lately.
Hey, you can't be saying words like that out loud. You can't call people flukers.
Both for and Foley. This is a pretty good comparison, I think. Maybe Marvin Harrison too, coming out next year. I know this is an NFL best ball show, but can't wait for Marvin Harrison.
Let's see. Oh no, I gotta figure out my next picks. All right, I got Najee. Sweet. There we go. Yeah, that's where it's at. Way came back.
So I have been looking a little bit in the Jets schedule. I mean, the whole AFC East has a really, really tough schedule. And of course having to play each other. And like, no matter what you think of the Patriots, they'll be competent, 7-win team. And like, they'll just be annoying to play. And then the other three teams we're excited about for different reasons. So I think that division's going to be a bloodbath that they play the AFC West, which is going to be tough. And so it's definitely not a lock that Jets make the playoffs, but it could, the Dolphins, Jets, like it could be either team there that is that number 2 in the AFC East. So it's something to monitor. And the Jets have a pretty tough playoff schedule as well.
Okay. I mean, they're always gonna be competitive though, right? Like the idea is the Jets aren't just gonna like roll over any game, and they're never gonna like throw in the towel. They're not gonna be like, "Hey, we have A-Rod, but we're gonna tank." So
Well, I
I
think
feel like
that's
it
less
doesn't
of
really
a
matter.
fantasy take than more real life. I think for fantasy, yeah, I'm not too excited because they are not worried because they should be in tons of shootouts and stuff. So
I think it still trades the same way though.
yeah, that's fair.
I know when you were talking about I forgot with Dwayne, he was talking about like, we draft running backs from good teams that are gonna try to win or high scoring, right? It's like
Mhm.
the idea is that they're supposed to be high scoring, that they're supposed to be good. I mean, could they miss the playoffs? Sure. We've seen plenty of good teams miss, but we also seen plenty of bad ones make it, even in tough divisions. Uh, who was it? I mean, even like last year, technically, although the division wasn't great, but like the NFC East, that was kind of weird. They almost got there. Oh, I didn't get Najee in my other one though. I'm sad. I'm gonna quit this. I'm gonna auto draft. I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
It's a good week 17 start here from FFG.
Let's see.
Coming around here, Wounded Geese making his pick. Pull up the board. Actually, I'm gonna wait here. I took a Hawkinson share today. He's someone I have not drafted much of. I feel like he's kind of overpriced personally. I don't know how you feel about TJ Hawkinson.
I mean, I have 10% of him, which is pretty high for given where he's at as a tight end.
No,
I like consistency over spike in my tight ends. What's it?
Let's see here. Kirk
So I like consistency over my spikes because I think consistency just weighs more down the road. Because getting a spike week guy, like, so this is the issue I think some people have like Cole Kmet, Knox, and etc. It's like your good week is 4 or 5 out of a year, but Hawkinson can give you 10 probably considerable 8 to 14 point games or 8 to 12. Yeah. And I think that's like way stronger than people want to give it credit for, because that's at least in the tight end position, that's probably what 4 points per week that you are almost guaranteed to make or get over in the position, which can be by week 14, 70 points, which is a big deal. And then in the playoffs, if you get 8 to 12 every week, you're not really losing hard to Kelsey teams or Andrew teams, and I feel like it's still pretty strong.
It for sure is.
Because even those guys have missed.
I want to answer this from FFG. Do you consider wide receiver cornerback matchups for week 17 at all? I can answer it first because I have a take, but
go ahead.
I don't. This is something in DFS we see a lot too, with worrying about, is this corner going to shut down this receiver? And we see it some, but man, it rarely happens where someone just completely wipes someone out of a game. And we've seen plenty of really good receivers dominate Jalen Ramsey, dominate whoever you want to say, Jair Alexander. So it's not something I personally consider. I mean, it's something to note, I guess. But it's not something I usually ever consider. Um, aren't you worried? He's a great player. Sauce Gardner is a great corner. But it's just it doesn't come onto my process too much because
Oh, there goes Mixon. I think this team can eat a Hawkinson. I'll take a Folly Hawkinson. You give me 11 picks on him. That's fine.
Yeah.
Okay, so this draft is moving faster than my first draft. I think that's kind of funny. You guys already lapped it. I care. I think I care enough, but not enough to not draft him. So
Yeah.
let's say Cooper isn't the guy week 17, but he's the guy week 15, 16, right? I think we looked at the playoffs. It wasn't that bad for them. Maybe he's the guy just through the season. It's a little bit of multiple things that you have to worry about. Worry about just pure week 17 and like, is this the reason why I'm not gonna get this guy? I think you're gonna end up not getting a lot of good players then, in my mind. I feel like you're always gonna be playing from behind then.
It's just from my perspective, from personal experience of playing DFS the last 3 or 4 years, and earlier on in my DFS, playing before I started that, it's like, oh man, this person's got Jalen Ramsey this week. Like, I mean, there's been so many receivers go off because like Jalen Ramsey might not shadow, but even if he does, like, I mean, it's not. I mean, shutdown corners just aren't like the same
They're
with
not
the
a
way
thing anymore.
the way just the way offenses are ran. Their offenses are so good now, and they have so many advantages over the defense. I've just seen it so much in DFS where like, we start worrying about defenses or worrying about corners, and we see so much where it doesn't matter. And not that it doesn't. Like, it's something to note, but personally, no.
And also at the end of the day, it doesn't take a lot to get fantasy points sometimes. A broken play occurs, right? Like
Yeah,
I've
right.
seen
I mean, John Ramsey or Sauce Gardner could be one time for a long touchdown and have a great rest of the game, right? So
yeah.
it's
Stephon
not
Diggs
it's not
hosted Ramsey last year, I think
it's not
twice.
something I personally take into effect. The weather more so, I think. And again, that's even something pretty small. But the weather potentially in Cleveland would be something I would note too, but it's not, again, it doesn't make me not draft someone or stack a game. So again, I don't know. It's tough. There's so many variables this game.
I worry about a lot of things before I worry about week 17. Honestly, I worry about like, does the build matter? What's the projection still? Like at the end of the day, too, defenses play from behind. Your defenses play at a disadvantage. The best cornerbacks lose to the worst wide receivers sometimes. It occurs. I mean, think about it like this: Jalen Ramsey was at peak when he lost to Darnell Mooney. There's like tons of clips of like Darnell Mooney just chasing him up because you're just playing from behind. And in good corners, even as good as Sauce is, he might not just. There's probably just certain prototypes he's good against. I used to point this out to a lot when people talked about like Alshon Jeffries or Des Bryant, um, even Julio to an extent. There's like certain corners, like the more physical, acrobatic, athletic corners used to school Alshon Jeffrey. They used to school like Des Bryant. But those guys would dominate really bad corners because they were just more physical, much stronger. They could overpower them. So it's always just one of those other things to think about too. It's not as simple as, oh yeah, it's just like this. Uh, there's different prototypes, and maybe Gardner right now was good last year, but probably didn't get tested enough. Maybe he didn't get played with the right corners. I don't think Amari Cooper is a physical guy by any means, or that
No,
athletic
he's not.
to beat
Well,
him. But he is one of the more all-around receivers. He can beat
he's a
him by
great route runner.
yeah. He doesn't have to beat him being physical. So that's all it really takes.
Let's see here. Yeah, I mean, I think if it's a piece of the puzzle in your process, I'm not saying don't consider it. Like, if you believe you have that knowledge, the knowledge to know and the edge there, go for it. I'm not saying not to. It's just personally not a part of my process. I'm gonna do a little team correlation here with Goddard. I don't get much of him. Get the Goddard and Devonta Smith on the same team here. Maybe we'll tack on a Cardinal late, Trey McBride or something. But I'm kind of like in that little team correlation, and I don't get enough Goddard really.
Oof.
Outside of Hurts next.
I do think I like Goddard more than Hawkinson. I do. I think he's a really good value there too. He's just a strong enough mismatch. And we've had year after year of his production. I know like Goddard gets overshadowed a lot because he got injured or whatever. I wasn't the biggest Goddard guy. But last year I was just like he like picked 70, 80, and I'm like, well, he's still a step at least at that same tier Schultz was. and he ended up being better than Schultz for most of the season until he got injured. So I think
Oh,
Goddard's a really
definitely.
good pick. He's a good mixed match. He won't give you those spike weeks, but he can get you 7 for 60, which for a tight end is amazing. Terrible for
Yeah.
receiver, but 7 for 60 on a tight end is like where it's at. That's like almost 10 points.
Yeah, I like Goddard a lot. I've got to mix him in. I feel like I kind of hinted on there. I feel like I don't take him outside of Hurts stacks, but I'll take Kittle. Obviously, so I'm not stacking up 49ers quarterbacks much. I do mix in Purdy, 18th round. I think is fine for sure. But some of these other tight ends I'll take unstacked. And for some reason, I haven't been doing it with Goddard, so that's something I kind of want to fix a little bit. Get more of
Uh,
him.
Random question to the chat, just for the sake of it. Are you guys caring at all about their season this season prizes at all for Puppy 2? Are you guys actually gonna try to get that top 100? Do you wish it was bigger? Do you wish it was at least 2,000 people instead of 100? Where do you guys sit on it right now?
That's a good question. Yeah, I don't know. It's kind of weird with just being the top 100, right? Like this to me feels like more of like nice. It's there. If you happen to get in it, cool. But to me, I don't think I can build for a top 100 finish like that.
That'd be
Or I'm not gonna
that's
focus
tough.
on that.
Oh
All right,
man,
you
my
got you got Mike
expectations.
Evans, Cam Akers here.
Oh man, I'm gonna leave Connor behind. I have 3 running backs already. It's the boy, the Michael Thomas.
We like it there.
I mean,
Unsurprising pick for Davis here. Paul says 100 is a sweet spot for him. I know me and Paul have talked. He's not a fan, usually not a fan of regular season prizes. Wants it more in the playoffs. So 100 is kind of like would make sense of why he likes it. Like the best of the best. Here's your little prize, but don't take away from the rest of us. Building playoff teams and correlation and stacking and stuff for the playoffs.
it's 10%, but it's not the worst. Like it really isn't.
No, it's not that bad.
Oh god, in my other draft, George Pickens is falling, and I can't do it. I'm sorry, I can't text that guy. It's gross.
I like this from Terrence. The top scoring teams will probably be Chargers, Eagles. Just stack them. I think that's a good point if you're going for regular season. I know like the Eagles playoff schedule is so cake too. And I know you're talking more of the regular season, but playoff schedule was I ranked them recently and I don't have that here to show, but the Eagles were my easiest playoff
I
schedule
mean,
or
that's a hard
favorite.
team to stack though. So like, who would you take? You take what, Brown
I mean,
into
you have to go
Smith
Brown
into
Hurts.
Hurts? You would hope that Hurts falls to you when you can get Smith, and then what you grab, or you skip Hurts, you grab Smith, grab and then grab the 2 receivers later, like Mike Williams or Quentin Johnson down the road, and Keenan Allen, get Herbert. Maybe I'm overthinking it, or maybe you get AJ Brown into Eckler in the early first 2 rounds.
I don't hate it. I grab Jameson Williams here.
JMO's like I said, like this is gonna be one of those things you're gonna see JMO's ADP go up, and it's gonna be probably because it's gonna be the puppies that are doing it.
Yeah,
A lot of these
that's something
competition.
interesting too to watch for. Like, does Puppy 2 affect BBM ADPs? I really don't think it'll be that big of a change. Do you?
I think there will be to an extent. I think, like I said, guys like JMO probably will be one. I could see Anthony Richardson probably falling a little bit more because people aren't really caring about the season prizes, so they're not gonna try to get this like high scoring guy. I don't know. Like I said, I think mostly for that type of stuff. I feel maybe some injury prone guys might go up a little bit too. Because you're not worried about that kind of thing. Suspension players probably not a big deal. Like people might take Alvin Kamara. I wouldn't. I wouldn't take him in a fire, but there's somebody out there who will.
We'll draft him. You could mix him in. It's just even if he comes back and is good, that's just such a crowded room. So I don't know. Speaking of tight ends, Jake Ferguson's almost free. Yeah, I agree with this. I think Jake Ferguson's a really fun pick. I had a draft the other day where I had a Dak CD set up. I didn't take Ferguson. I was planning to, but Knox fell to the like 206. So I just grabbed Knox instead. I don't know if I should have done the stack or taken Knox, but I just think he's got a little more upside. But
And I will take all the knocks in the world right now. He's going so late, so freaking late. It's not even close. Um, I've been drafting him like just knowing that he's gonna be there. Like he's my new Conklin, but
Yeah.
better. I was like, oh, like, I know Knox will be here. Like I don't even care. If I end up with 2 tight ends and he's the second, I'm still fine. Like I have no qualms of it. He's such a value.
I
I don't even
agree.
think it's ridiculously close. My team's shaping up kind of okay. 3 running backs. Did miss out on Connor. I died a little bit on the inside on that one, but I did get my boy on the Mike Evans Thomas week 17 correlation. You're always yapping to me about.
If
um,
you're Evans Thomas, I like it.
and then obviously TJ Hawks, and I get the Kirks. There we go. There we go. Now I'm stacked. Now you can't yell at me for not being stacked. Hope's always waiting for me to be unstacked to be like, "What's your correlation, Davis?" And then I have to make one up, like, "Oh yeah, week 9, these guys play together.
Oh
Like
yeah,
it's
they play week
crazy."
9.
week 9 correlations.
No, I think you're stacking plenty on your own now.
I'm a big boy now. I do big boy things. I don't like my receivers though.
I feel like you did kind of get boxed out a little bit at receiver. Um, I don't know. They
Yeah,
don't hate your team. It's a little thin at receiver.
I'm just like annoyed because I could like right now I wish I could grab B Rob, but because I grabbed Hawk, I can't grab B Rob. Um, this will be a Boyd team. A little bit of a reach on Mr. Boyd, but not the worst. I'll take Boyd there. It's fine.
I know. I'm waiting for some news to come out on this Tampa receiver situation. Like, you think we see a trade from one of those guys?
No,
It's kind of been rumored all offseason, like, oh, the Evans could get traded, Godwin could get traded. But we really haven't had any firm reports, I don't feel like, personally. Maybe I've missed
no, we
something.
haven't had any reports. They brought Baker in. They still kept a good chunk of that line. If they trade Evans, then basically that team is done in that locker room. I think that's exactly what happens. Your division's wide open. We talk about it, so, and I think this is where I kind of push that narrative back around. Everyone says like, "Well, the Saints have a wide open. They're gonna have to play." Well, then so do the Falcons, right? They're wide open. They have to play, and that's the argument for everybody. So I would say the same argument right now for the Bucks. It's a wide open division. They cannot give it up. They're not gonna sit there and be like, "Oh, hey guys, like we can't play because there's powerhouses like the Falcons." Like you know what I mean? Like I don't know if I was as a fan base how I would feel if we tanked that year.
Yeah.
So I just don't think that's a possibility. I think that's an idea. But when they brought in Baker for what they did, they have Kyle Trask. They're going to try to do something. They still have a stout team on paper, defensively, at least at the pass rush, and an offensive line. Now that they're healthy, and they got still two star-studded receivers. Like I just don't know what you can do if your division's wide open. I think if this division was dead, it'd be a different story. Like or like it was seeded, like they had the Chiefs. You'd be like, okay, like they're just going to give up. But that's not the case here. Oh, I got
I think that
sniped.
makes
I'm
sense.
sad. I mean, I don't know. Like, that's just been my thought process on it. I just don't see it the same way as some people would in that case.
That's fair. I think that's a fair point. Yeah, I mean, trading Evans would mean a lot for that locker room, but at the same time, as a front office, like, this team is going to be really bad. They want Caleb Williams. Like, I think at some point, like, he's not going to be a part of the next great Tampa Bay Buccaneers team.
Yeah. I mean, the other thing too. Oh no, yeah, actually, Matt makes a good comment. So he's probably not talking about off season. They're probably mid-season trade. He get a mid-season trade. That's very possible.
Sure.
Totally different. And I would understand that one. I think there's a good chance at a mid-season.
The answer is I don't want any of these guys. I'm going to take Gallup. I'm going to do a little reach on Gallup.
I think Baker loses all 7, but I'm not the team that decided to add him to their roster.
Is Baker seriously winning? Yeah.
I lose every single game, and I lose every single one. But I'm once again not the team that added him in.
I mean, they could win some of these though. I mean, they could win Bears.
Of course.
I'm not saying they will.
Lions.
Again, I would make Bears favorite. Same for the Falcons. I just think also like like we say this team, this team's going 0-6, 0-17, but like these teams end up winning randomly 4 games, right? Like a lot of the time, they win 2, they win 4. And I mean, I agree with you guys. The chat saying 0-7, 0-7. Like I would say that too on paper, but I just think we see it all the time. Where like they find a way to win one of those.
I mean, a couple of years ago when people were high on Baker, they were like, "Oh my God," like, and I myself, I was like, "Oh, they had a great roster. I was like, this team is gonna probably win their division or maybe right behind the Ravens or the Browns, and then they ended up like just crapping the bed like 3 years straight. And
Yeah.
then last year when they went to the Panthers, everyone's like, "Oh my God, DJ Moore just got us a major upgrade at wide receiver." And then had to tell everyone like Baker's ass, like over and over, like he's just not good. But then that was the final straw. Like no, he already had an amazing team. Like the Browns have a great roster. Uh, so I don't know what like the changeup was when he went to the Panthers, but that's what it took apparently for people to really see how bad he was. Yeah, I think he's terrible. But I mean, we said the same thing about Geno Smith last year. Like Geno is not good. People were saying that Tyler Lockett would get traded or DK Metcalf would get traded, and then they paid DK Metcalf instead. So
Yeah.
I think it's just a weird
I mean,
guess.
they're also the age. Their age is a big difference there between
Fair.
DK Metcalf and Evans. So, but I think that's fair. That's a reason I'm not like fading Mike Evans or Chris Godwin just because what we saw happen in Seattle. I mean, those two receivers are still so good and can have good fantasy weeks without Baker paying off. Obviously, I'm not taking Baker, but and again, I'm not saying like all the they'll win one or two of those. Like we just see it. I would definitely predict 0-7 for sure.
Oh, this is so bad. I have no idea who to take. I'm just gonna
Who's
take
on the clock
Jamal.
here?
I'm gonna grab my first Jamal Williams. I think I haven't grabbed him in a minute.
How's your other team looking?
Oh, not too good here. It's getting there. It's getting there. I got sniped on not sniped. I had couple falling pieces I just kind of missed the curve on. Could have got a 105 Thomas when I'm really sad I didn't get it. But I have Pat F. I think he'd be proud of me on that one. He'd be
It
so
was my
happy.
strategy all along to get you to enter two drafts so they both can be worse.
It's so good. All right. Oh, Gino still came back? All right, screw it. You know what? I hate it. Oh, you know what? I'm not doing that.
You can second with no Fant
Screw
or
it.
take him unstacked. Yeah, I
I'm
mean,
so-
it's a good
I was
value.
gonna grab Carr there, but I'm just like, well, screw it. I'll just have naked Thomas then, and yeah, it's fine.
Yeah, Gino, I think Gino's a tier ahead for me. So
I think they're the same, but I do think Gino runs enough to like have a floor. I just think he's just not good in the red zone. But I think JSN and Fant will change that quite a bit. I mean, JSN or any tight end they throw to. I think JSN in the red zone could be really, really sneaky. Or Zach in the red zone could be really sneaky too.
So there's kind of been some buzz on JSN lately, and why I've taken him more, and I took him in the last draft we did.
Yeah, you sent it to me, and you were like, "Look at how great my team is."
No, it's when we drafted together on stream. But no, so there's been buzz of like some people think he can be like their actual wide receiver one, right? Just saying, oh, look at his draft capital compared to Lockett and DK. He was the highest picked guy of those three. I know his talents come into question. Oh, he's a slot only. But where are you at on JSN? I know you've been lower most of this offseason. Has any of the reports on that kind of changed your mind at all? Are you taking more of him?
I liked him a ton on Big Board. I really thought he was just gonna have like the best spots to land or be relevant, and I think he's the best talent even in his. Obviously, we know he's the best talent in his class. It's not even a question right now. We'll question it later if he just happens to not be good, but he's the best talent in his class. And I'm not questioning that portion. The part that I question is the same thing I had with uh, Garrett Wilson. Is like if that offense is clicking, if Elijah Moore is bouncing back from where he was at, if Corey Davis doesn't die in week 3, um, does Garrett Wilson turn up, right? Like, and then you can argue at the end of the day that well he did, but it did require Elijah Moore to step back. It required Corey Davis to die, and then
Yeah.
and I think JSN isn't. And to top it off on it, he Garrett Wilson was at least at pick 110 or 115 or whatever the case he was. He was later. JSN's at pick 50 something in a draft that in a season of draft where we're taking wide receivers like through the roof. So he's already pushed up and then pushed up some more. So when I look at where he's being drafted, what he can do, it's does he do more than I think he can get 700, 800 yards. No harm, no foul, right? Very possible. 6 touchdowns, cool.
Sure.
But like, is that stat line the same stat line that you would get from half the running backs after, or even some of those wide receivers in that range, or some of the wide receivers after him? And I think that's the part I'm having a hard time with because it is 3 mouths to feed. And Lockett is an all around guy. he's more all around than DK Metcalf. DK Metcalf is the deep threat, the big body, probably the first look at the red zone. Um, it's just going to be really, really tough. And he has to overtake Lockett, but Lockett is pretty good too, as we saw last
They're
year.
all three good, and I'm
Yeah,
mostly here with Terrence that Metcalf feels like he's gonna be there. They're one.
of course.
It's just so it's an interesting take, but
And it's just I wish he was at if he was that Quentin Johnson pick, it'd be a different story.
yeah. Oh,
But
he's
he's
such a
not.
smash. He's a
Yeah,
great pick on DraftKings right now too.
but he's at
Seventh,
pick
eighth round.
50-ish, and I think you're eating a lot for him right now.
Yeah, I mean, you have to essentially make a bet on those teams you do that he is going to be that guy who's going to supplant either one of those two.
There are teams for him though. So if you
Yeah,
do take a DK JSN team or a Lockett JSN team, whatever, that's fine because then you're just betting that your team makes it through. Your team is cool. JSN gets in there. Maybe one of those guys get hurt, or maybe he does supplant them. It doesn't require someone to get hurt. Sometimes it's just supplanted. It happens, and
yeah.
that he pays off at the end of the season because he is once again the best guy in the draft at wide receiver this year, at least coming in. But I think he's one of those guys that just might do nothing for 6 weeks. And if that's the case, I might just grab JMO. Like he might be better off grabbing JMO 40 picks later if he doesn't do
I
anything.
don't know. I don't think I personally don't think Jason's the type to do nothing for 6 weeks, right? Like he
But
may
how
not be out there in 2 wide receiver sets, but he's gonna play. He's gonna
But what's
have
his contribution though? Levels is my thing.
in the first 6 weeks. Like how many games do you think he'll contribute?
Yeah, how many games does he contribute, and how much better is it than other wide receivers in that zone?
I don't know. I think he can have multiple contribution weeks in the first 6 weeks. Like I'm not worried about his immediate playing time personally. Like he plays slightly different position than the other two. I know they run both the others in the slot some, but I don't know. I'm not worried about him not like being out there in the first 6 weeks.
No, I'm not saying he's not out there. So I'm saying he's out there, and let's say he contributes. Is his contribution games, his projections for obviously like we're still waiting. Everyone's still doing theirs, but like, are you telling yourself, hey, if ASA gives me points this week, is he giving you 12 or 11 points, 11 to 12, or is he giving you 16? And I think half the time when I come down to it, 11 to 12. So what he really is giving you is 1 point difference than the average contributor.
Yeah, I think it's fair. I like this point from Nate.
I'm trying to think of the 3 wide receivers he did this with. 3 top 25s. I can't think of who that is.
Was that Minnesota? No.
Wasn't it Minnesota? Definitely could not have been in Carolina. Maybe the Saints, but that was mostly just Michael Thomas. And Michael Thomas was supporting.
Yeah, Nate,
Taysom
what
Hill
team were you talking about there with Teddy?
Yeah. It definitely wasn't it definitely was not the Broncos, because their Broncos had a really hard time. He supported, I think, it wasn't Tim Patrick, because that was Drew Lock's best year, was Tim Patrick.
Carolina.
What, Robbie Anderson, a DJ Moore?
Robbie Anderson, DJ Moore did have some really good games together.
Yeah. I would need to check that. It wasn't that good though. I mean, Mike Davis had a pretty good year that year.
Remember the Mike Davis team?
I mean, Mike Davis just got thrown the ball. He was basically like poor man Fournette.
I remember playing him so much in DFS for like 5,200. Yeah. DJ Moore, Robbie Anderson, and yeah, Moore was the third of the 3. It's slipping my mind on who that would have been, but I have to think on that some more.
Yeah, I don't remember it like that at all. I'd have to double check. Not to say that he's wrong, but I'm just trying to think of like who was their 3. And I remember it wasn't like that great, because it wasn't like he supported them well. I don't remember getting like Robbie Anderson like 1,000 yards maybe. Let me see. I forgot he's chosen Anderson now.
Yeah.
Let's pull it up. Panthers, what, 2020?
Who do I want to take here? I don't love any of these options. I think I'm just going to grab Jawan, actually.
And he also had a count. We're talking about the half PPR, too. That's another thing. So Teddy supported really well.
Curtis Samuel was there as well.
So he wasn't that great. He got hurt. And I think he was in and out. So 2020, wide receivers for this is what it was. Chosen Anderson had 1,100 yards, 3 touchdowns. This is what I have an issue with. He had no touchdowns. Curtis Samuel had 77 receptions, 800 yards, three
That's pretty
touchdowns,
good.
and then DJ Moore had 1,200 yards, 4 touchdowns. So he's right.
Yeah.
He supported them. They just all had a total of 10 touchdowns, and then Mike Davis had 59 receptions for 373 yards. So like
We
terrible.
can happen.
But yeah, he's right.
Taekwon goes 14th round, 168. I was thinking about taking.
Was that top 25 in half PPR though, or full PPR? Or they just in general they were just top 25s? I just feel like they don't contribute a ton then because they only had 4 touchdowns or less.
Samuel's rushing.
Yeah,
That's a good point, though. I think it's a solid point. Like we can see bad quarterbacks or quarterbacks we don't love support 3 guys.
But yeah, so
it's tough
my
to take them
point
all on the same team. But.
So my point to it was it's not that they can't be like usable. We've seen this, but it's does JSN's contributions be enough for you to take him early? Like I said, at that point, I might just take JMO.
I just don't know. Like I think the upside for JSN is so much higher than JMO. I know JMO can do it in 2 plays, but I think JSN more so could be like the guy. It has a lot higher chance of being like the guy, like a target hog compared to JMO. So I don't know if I agree there.
Target hog to over DK Tyler. And that's right.
I mean, look, it's not clear. Obviously, it's a project. It's a bet more so than I would not like say it's going to happen. Of course, projections
obviously
would
you
not
have
say.
to bet that if you're paying for it. But when I just said when I project him out, I think he gets me 12 points. Like and that's his contribution week, which is cool. I just don't know if I get spike weeks out of the guy. At least not immediate. I think at the end of the season you could be correct that he gets spike weeks.
Yeah.
But I feel like I could make that same argument for JMO 40 picks later.
I think that's fair. I think you're gonna get usable weeks in the first 6 from JSN.
Let's see. My pick's coming up.
What have you ended up doing in the other drafts?
Oh man, that was a panic. I have no quarterbacks. I have like Russ, and then somebody went 20 picks early for Pickett for some reason. So 30 picks early. So I have Russ into Stafford, and I have to figure out think my last guy's like Ritter or Howell. I got to figure that out. I think my team turned out pretty well in this one though. 2, 4, 6, 2.
Yeah, I think you've fixed your build a little. I mean, we disagree on some of the players, but I think your build makes sense.
Yep.
Knox.
Grab my Knox while I can.
That's a good point from Paul too. Like we've seen JSN dominate targets with the other 2. I mean, that whole offense was amazing, but
yeah,
I think he has a better chance of being like the guy than some people do.
It's very plausible. Like I don't think that's the case isn't there for him. I just wondering that getting to acclimate to NFL, having to use some good talents. I think if it was like your second receiver was somebody lesser than Tyler Lockett, like someone that was really not a precise level player, like I think like Lockett is. He's precise and fast, which makes him so good. You got to think how much people were praising how underrated like Lockett was.
Yeah, I mean Lockett's
in big board. Like everyone was like, that's the steal. Like everyone, if you get Lockett, you get Lockett this. So it's not like we didn't think the guy was good. I just think I wish that JSN was a little bit lower. I think JSN should have been where Jordan
it's a high
Addison
price.
started. He should have been 75, where Addison was when he first started off. Addison's obviously climbed the boards though, so that's totally different now.
Davis, have you done your projections on the Falcons? Do you have a Ritter projection?
I did actually. And it's bad. So I actually didn't do straight out Ritters. I just kind of did the team, and I remember he just didn't show up well, like at all.
How many contribution weeks would you project for him?
For Ritter? Oh man. I want to say. Let me double check it. I have it up. Not a ton. Because we didn't see him run a lot, so I didn't know how to project Ritter's running. I think if you're talking about for someone like Drake London, I could give you the numbers for that one a lot better.
That's fair. Yeah. I should have taken another receiver earlier than this, but we are done at running back now. 2 more picks. Trying to decide if I need a third. I don't need a third tight end on this build. Not necessary.
So I think like if you're talking about just straight out Ritter and you think he's gonna be Mariota-esque or less, I have him pegged at about 3 to 4 games as a contributor.
I think I would project him to have a better season than Mariota last year, personally.
I also think Mario ran more. Like I said, we just didn't see a lot of running from Ritter, so I don't really know.
It is super weird. You're right on that. Like we didn't see it. He ran like a 4.5 at the combine. Like it feels like it's in there. But we just didn't see it last year. That was strange.
He also plays most likely going to play in a play action scheme like Tannehill and Mario did in the past with Arthur Smith. So those usually opens up a lot. It opens up a lot when you're that kind of guy. So in that case, like I said, I think he's like a 4-point guy, like a four game guy, maybe 6, and it also depends on your quarterbacks. So I mean, I could say that he's a contributor, but like if he's contributing an ass team, it doesn't really matter, like ass receivers. But I think you're talking about 18 points, 18 and a half. I think I got him about 4 games, and that's usually what I consider contribution. So I have him at his range is as low as 14 points, as high as 20 to 22, and that's his spike week version, and that's him spiking.
I think it's fair for an 18th round pick, though. I don't think it's bad
totally
at all.
fine. I think like that's why I take so much Ritter because I'm hoping he runs. Like we didn't see it last year, but we didn't see anything last year. Like Sam Howell didn't play. Freaking, Kyle Trask didn't play. Like Ritter barely played. Like we didn't see anything last year.
I took an interesting team today. I think that had both. It had Tua, Tyreek, and then I pushed QB and took Howell 17th, Ritter 18th, in like a 3 QB build with Tua. I actually really like that team. I'll have to send it to you.
That sounds pretty good to me. I think like you can build those rosters. I just have a hard time doing it, but they do exist and they exist well. I think you're taking gambles, but I mean I'm taking a gamble on any guy who I draft at this point. Who knows?
I mean that's why it is a 3 QB build, right?
Exactly. You're
doing
hedging
yourself. You've got Tua, but then you also throw in Hal Ritter last 2 rounds.
All right. I'll just get the guy, man. Just love him. I've drafted him, man. It's gross, but he's getting paid $2 million. That's fine. We'll see.
He has $100K guaranteed money still. I almost took him earlier. I was gonna send it to you. I was like, you know what? It made sense. It made sense on my build in the 18th round, but I was like, it's too much principle for me to do this.
He says, "That's what you'd just rather be wrong."
I'd just rather be wrong than take James Robinson. Yeah. No, I'm just kidding.
No, I mean, some people are saying that. I think I don't hate it. All right, I'm gonna take flavor of the week today, and that's Michael Wilson.
Flavor of the week.
He's flavor of the week. People love him right now. Obviously Pat Crane's like just going off on him right now, and everybody just loves him, and I'm just like, screw it. Like I do. He's 18th round. I'm just gonna take it. I needed.
I mean, these are all dart throws.
I liked his profile when I was reading through it. Hardworking guy, team player, but he just he has the injury bug, which is like just terrible. Like, but things change. You know who had an injury bug in college? The guy we just spent 40 minutes talking about, DK Metcalf. He was a guy that everyone was so certain is not going to survive a season, rookie year. He's not going to survive his second season. He's not going to survive his third. He gets injured. We think he's out for 4 weeks. He comes back in 4 days. He's like, hey, man, I'm DK Metcalf. I forgot to tell you guys this. I'm going to be back in 4 or 5 days and just go off. So you never know. Better trainers in NFL than they are in college. And to top it off, he's not on the Chargers. He was on the Chargers. I'd be like, oh, he's hurt forever. Chargers have the worst.
He's hurt forever.
He just has the worst. To be fair, it is the Cardinals though, so it's probably not much better, but still.
Let's see. I'm trying to decide if I want an 8th wide receiver on this team or a 3rd tight end. I think I'm gonna do an 8th wide receiver because I've got Jameson Williams.
Sorry, Tarek, you couldn't get your stacks in here. Correlation's always gonna be tough, and I'm the worst for it. I actually just punt correlation quite a bit.
I'm just gonna take Mecole. I think it's a fun pick. They paid him. It's not like a great pick, but an 18th rounder. Jets brought him in. Gave him decent money. Wasn't great. Compared to some people thought he was gonna get like a bag.
I don't know why. I don't have no idea why people thought he was gonna get a bag. That man is not good at the game.
He is not, but he could score some goal and like some end rounds and some broken plays for an 18th round pick.
Gadget plays, totally possible. I mean,
Absolutely.
at 18th, you're taking pop shots, and I think spreading your picks at the 18th is a big deal that I
Yeah.
think not many people do. Um,
I mean,
I mean, I've been taking a lot more
we've
Mac
seen it in this
Hollins
draft. We
lately.
got Puka goes to Andrew here.
Hey, I took my first Amir White today too. Someone else actually took
Zamir White. How much of him did you have last year?
none. I had zero
None.
Amir White. I had I think one, like zero point
You're
one
the
percent.
genius.
I just don't believe fifth round guys are taking over first round dudes. I just don't believe it. Like Josh Jacobs was a first round guy from a great college.
Absolutely.
That runs all day, didn't have a lot of tread. If someone thought this like fifth round guy was going to come up and steal his job, it wasn't even like just eat a little bit in. They just like he's going to steal it. He's just going to come in here.
I think there were some okay signs for why, but
I
that's
don't
fair.
think it was at all. That's why I never took any of them. It wasn't enough. I
No,
think like
you were correct. You were on the right side of history of that one for sure.
gonna be
Let's talk about your team. Let's review it. I'll pull yours up.
I'm gonna grab Hunter Henry in my last team. Your guys' draft finished before mine did. All right. I got the homie Kirk Cousins. He's thugging Cousins over here. Geno Smith, not a big fan, but 19 picks past ADP.
That's good value on him.
Yeah, you just take the value sometimes. I do wish I kind of stacked my Derek Carr a little bit, but it is with my Michael Thomas, but it is what it is. I went a little RB early. This would be pseudo robust, right? Yeah, because it's 2 and then a 1 at 82 3. So pseudo robust RB with Saquon, Najee, Cam Akers, Jamal Williams, James Robinson. I think I paid my bucket pretty well though for some of
Yeah,
these guys.
it's not bad.
Wide receivers, I got CeeDee Lamb, Calvin Ridley. Obviously, everyone's pushing Ridley up these days. Mike Evans, Michael Thomas for that fun correlation. But I also just think they're just big guys that get touchdowns. I think they get 8 touchdowns apiece this year. Mike Evans maybe a little bit less, but I think Michael Thomas has a shot. Tyler Boyd, Van Jeff, strong mid-tier guys low mid-tier guys that people like. We like Tyler Boyd, we like Van Jeff, obviously getting juiced up. And then Isaiah Hodgins. I don't know if he's the bet right now for the Giants, but I have not going to take him. And then Michael Wilson. I think this team needed 8 receivers. As obviously I didn't get my 4th into that flat line at pick 80.
Yeah.
Michael Thomas, I like him as a 5th. I don't like him as a 4th. So I do have to have at least a little bit more investment in Tyler Boyd and Van Jeff. And then obviously TJ Hawkinson, Tyler Higbee, Dawson Knox. I think my tight ends are set. I don't have anything to say for that. My tight end is, I think my flex is pretty good.
Yeah, absolutely. You've got 3 guys they're going to fill your flex too. So yeah. I'm not too worried. Especially with some of the receivers you've got. My team here, we did a 2-6-8-2. Trevor Lawrence and Tua as my quarterbacks. I stacked up Trevor just with Christian Kirk here. I was eyeing Zay Jones. I did the Goddard investment, so I didn't go Ingram. I could have, but maybe looking back, I'd pass Goddard there for a receiver and take Ingram. But I don't mind mixing that up. Then we've got Tua with Tyreek, and Jeff Wilson for the team stack, team correlation. I'm taking a little more Jeff Wilson here. Did some looking at the contract stuff, and he actually got more money than Mostert, and Mostert goes higher than him. So I like Jeff Wilson there. Got my boy Ramondre.
He's also younger too.
Yeah. Got my boy Ramondre in an anchor build here. Charbonnet, Kendre Miller at rookies. Got my guy Jalen Warren as well. Jeff Wilson, Gus Bus. I really like this RB room for an anchor team. I feel like Jeff Wilson and Gus can kind of get me through until maybe the rookies have more of a role. Obviously, Charbonnet is pretty injury dependent, as an RB2, but I love his upside.
I'm not sure if you noticed, but you took the opposite side of me. Because I took Jamal Williams, you took Kendre. I took Najee, you took Warren.
Ramondre.
I talk about this quite a bit. Like the reason I like your roster is that you went 2-6-8-2 versus having to force a 9th receiver. A lot of people are forcing 9th receivers, and the math has shown it just doesn't really matter. Like you're losing more on your 9th receiver than you are if you took a 3rd tight end or took a 6th running back in a team that needs it. 9th receivers just don't really exist. Like they don't. You can do it, but I'm telling you right now, you'll probably get less than 12 points on the season with them. So I like that you're kind of pivoting from that, and you're betting on your tight end that you took early. Like right, like
yeah, exactly.
I take a little bit less because I think playoffs matter a lot more for that. But 2682 for anchor builds totally fine with me, especially if I'm the one that's doing double elite.
Yep. Receivers, we got Tyreek, Devontae, McLaurin, Kirk to go with our Trevor Lawrence bet. Jameson Williams, like you said, I like him more in this one, in this format where regular season's less important. Gallup, little week 17 correlation with Jameson Williams there. Also a guy with big contract. I like that article from Hayden today, kind of talking about the next Zay Jones potential there. And then look, a couple dart throws here, 17th, 18th round. Shakir on a good offense. Hope he gets two weeks maybe. Same for McCole Hardman, a guy the Jets brought in, gave a decent contract to, should be out there on the field. Again, just you're hoping for a couple spike weeks with these 17th, 18th round picks. Goddard, get a little team correlation here with Devonta Smith. I like that a lot. And then took Juwan. I'm still buying Juwan. I know they've done some stuff at the tight end position. Taysom's still there. They were on the guy from Oakland. His name slipping Moreau. And so it's a little cloudier there, but I'm still betting on Juwan.
A lot of deep shot guys. I mean, here we go. Here's and this is what I think people need to understand about builds. It's not about just ADP picks. Everyone says like, oh, you're going ADP this or that. It's far from the truth. So you got Kirk and Smith, consistency guys. You got J-Mo, McLaurin, deep shot guys. Michael Gallup, deep shot guy. McCole, deep shot guy. Tyreek is in between. So it's not like 9 PPR guys, right? It's a very strong balance. Let's review somebody. Let's Wounded Geese. He joined us for a show today. And I'm stoked. So let's do the 101. See what he got. AR at 96. Dak at 97. He betting on it too.
I love the middle. Yeah, the middle QB double tap there. It's really fun.
I actually like these a lot. The middle taps. Tony Pollard, DeAndre Swift, A-Chain, Elijah Mitchell, Tyler Algier. So this would be a anchor RB.
Yep.
Anchor RB, betting on a lot of these guys that are efficiency guys. Actually, 4 out of 5 of these guys are efficiency guys, and even Algier considered that because his O-line's that strong. Hayden talked a little bit, and so did Daigle. They talked a little bit about how Algier just Bijan's not getting 85% of the touches. He's probably getting 70, and Algier's the next man up. And if CPAT's 30 something right now, so you're fine. Justin Jefferson, DK Metcalf at the turn. That's a little interesting. I wonder if it's because of the room. I don't remember him.
I mean, receivers went 1 through 5 in this one.
Yeah. So Justin Jefferson, DK Metcalf, DJ Moore, Michael Pittman, Brandon Cooks. So Brandon Cooks, Taekwon, deep shot guys, a couple PPR guys. He got to stack with his Josh Downs in Indy, which is pretty awesome. I'm not sold on a lot of these PPR aspect players, but I do think you got enough deep shot guys to pay off for them though.
Yeah, it's a good mix of receivers.
DK and Justin Jefferson.
I like the receivers here.
2 tight end. Would you grab a 3rd tight end on this one? I think it might be better than Dortch, right?
Yeah, I probably would have not done Dortch, and then because you're pretty strong, Cooks down, and then Taekwon's getting
1, 2, 3,
the steam.
5 wide receivers in the first 72 picks. You would have to believe in your wide receivers, I would think.
I probably would have done a 3rd tight end, but again, it's the lowest scoring position. So if you're gonna punt tight end. But yeah, I don't know. I just saw a team. I like it a lot.
Yeah, sweet.
I'm gonna answer this question real quick from Dustin. I didn't have the overlays today because I'm drafting Puppy, not BBM, so they don't show up because I didn't capture the exposures for Puppy. But you can do Spike Week or Brick. They're both really good. I like both for different reasons. So yeah, check those out. They're really fun, and I love having them when I draft. The way I like to build teams, it helps me see stuff that while I'm drafting. So.
Alrighty. Oh shoot, guys. Hope, do you want to do another draft? No, I'm just kidding. I think someone asked in the chat.
Got some family in town, so we cannot do another one. But
I'm gonna be more nerdy. Diablo 4 is out, guys. All right, let me go play my Diablo 4. Or that's what I need to do. I joke, I kid, partially. Thanks for joining us on another stream. I seriously we appreciate y'all for showing up, commenting. This chat's always one of my favorite chats because not besides that it's our show, but you guys are always kind of just in there. You guys are talking to each other, you're vibing, you're giving opinions, you're pushing back, you're telling me that players are too old. I'm cool with all that, and I like to see it. And I own it. Hope makes me own it. She puts it as a banner. Was it you guys on Tuesday? Hope, anything for anybody else? Oh, subscribe, share it to friends.
We don't do it. You're 262. We don't do it as much as other channels, but yeah, subscribe. If you don't play on Underdog, use promo code HOPE. Get your first $100 deposit match. It helps us out, helps the channel. So Yep. Anything you guys can do. Thanks for hanging out. We really appreciate all of you. Peace.
I will be drafting through the night.